On it sponsorship.
Hey y'all, this is Trent Knox with the Trent Knox Show. This is season 3, episode 15 with Bryan Kern of the Common Chaos.
What up?
Bryan and I met through, I was a customer at his store, and we got like common interests about podcasting, music, and so maybe Bryan, want to introduce yourself, and we can go from there.
What is up? My name is Bryan Kern, host, like Trent said, of the Common Chaos podcast. I met Trent working at my company. It's a wireless company, and me and Trent got to talking about podcasts and doing live streaming and music and just a whole plethora of things. And then we ended up meeting up shortly thereafter and starting to work together, and have been buddies ever since. He was actually the first guest on the Common Chaos podcast that I did a couple years back. So
hell yeah. And yeah, it's been a while, man. And
it'll be 2 years in May.
So it's crazy. It's just to think about that. I did a podcast earlier this morning, a solo episode, discussing kind of like how I got started in podcasting and how the journey since 2015 or 2016, when I first put the camera on myself and started doing like DJing over the internet and on YouTube and playing video games and whatnot, and then it developed into Austin Live and Local, and then into this personal podcast. So last time, I just want to pick up from where we were last time. The last thing, and kind of go straight into it, was we were talking about the nanny state and how there's kind of this observation. People are watching what we do constantly on social media and trying to basically direct us through whatever mechanisms they can to make sure what we're buying, what we're selling, what we're saying, what we're not saying, the actions that we're doing. Maybe like, can you maybe talk about how like that you see that in mainstream media right now, or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a couple of different perspectives that can be looked through at. The first being that we're constantly like doing this, like we're constantly live in front of people now, especially with most social media apps having some sort of like live feature or video chat feature or recording feature. But there's also the like the security to it as well, like the actual big companies and corporations that are getting involved with having that constant monitoring. I don't know if you heard, like you and me, obviously, we've discussed a couple of different times the Hawaii situation with the phones and how they're, basically now being investigated and now being charged by the Department of Justice with having some sort of like infringing characteristics to their devices that they've got. I think that there's like I wouldn't necessarily call it an invasion like across the board, but some of it can be described as an invasion of privacy. But I think it's just a normative now. It's a norm that people are a lot more used to. I don't know necessarily know if they're more comfortable with it, but it is a normative, in my opinion. Us just constantly being fed like this weird, our lives are constantly being recorded, whether it be live and in the moment or being posted and pushed out later. People are trying to capitalize on whether it's like this individuality hike that a lot of people are seeing, because you can be yourself and you can put it out in front of more people, proactively yourself, that you're doing it. And you're also kind of doing it subconsciously by sharing your statuses and your posts on Facebook. Even if you are just checking in with friends somewhere, you're letting, your entire fan base, quote unquote, know where you're at and what you're doing. So definitely, I think it's just kind of emerging with social trends, cultural trends. It's just becoming a norm.
Do you think there's any benefit for large corporations or whatnot to be surveilling us from like a standpoint where it's better or safer for the community at large or everyone else?
Are we going conspiracy theory route or no? Because there's,
I
I feel,
mean,
again, there's different lenses we can look through, and I have my opinions on both. But what I think's the most interesting kind of leans towards the conspiracy theory route, but not that we're being like monitored constantly by some secret corporation. But there's
well,
the
I think the
government.
argument is not one corporation; it's multiple corporations. So,
Right. But I mean, I think a lot of people in the conspiracy realm have it like the Illuminati's watching us, right? When
yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's the case, but there are people that are watching us, and it's done through like the privatization of military contracts or government contracts,
Mm-hmm.
and or not. And what's I think an interesting topic is Rogan did a podcast recently talking with Mike Baker, that CIA guy, and a lot of people think that he can be kind of weird and on the cusp of things or fringe in a way. But he mentioned that the fact that we're lucky to have our government. Our government doesn't own all the security and all the feed and all the things that they're going through. They're privatized, like they go
Right.
through companies, right? Now, are the companies and the government, whatever, shaking hands and exchanging information at the cost of certain things? But maybe, I don't know.
Well,
But
absolutely.
I think that's where we're at. I think we're at that state where we're lucky enough to, in a way, be in control of how things are shared. Like there are laws in place, and corporations and companies and the government shouldn't be working in collusion. Whatever, if they are or if they aren't. But and you see like the Enron stuff. Who gets the contracts? It's companies to get contracts, and I think that there's going to be like this sharing of information and sharing of data that's necessary. There's an ethical conversation to have there. There's I think that there's a.
But do you think we're past that point of no return where the value that we have these days is just our data? So I feel like a majority of people aren't actively working towards selling their data. And I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of shopping. I do a lot of driving because of my job, and I've at this point gotten apps that pay you for going places and using your geolocation and whatnot to like, I
Speaking
guess
of,
in some.
should I be sharing this with my audience? Like, should I do anything with this link or anything to like boost it out since we're live? Or
Oh,
since we're doing it,
my Twitch, if you want to share my Twitch, but
yeah, or whatever this is now. Like, is this?
yeah, well, no, this appear in is just like it's just an app that I'm copying and putting on Twitch. It's just a bit complicated, but
We're good.
so
Just gotta get those clicks out there.
so what was I saying?
Threw you off. I'm sorry. You were talking about.
Selling my information and earning money from geolocation. So, monitoring, where basically having an ankle monitor, but it's my cell phone that gives me, 10 cents a day for sharing my location, what businesses I'm going to, and then they also like pay you for
is that a
doing
thing? Is that
surveys
real?
and whatnot. Yeah, I have one. It's called Panel. There are various different ones, right? Even Google kind of has their own, which is Google Rewards, that uses your geolocation to give you Google Play money or whatever to spend in the store. I'm not sure Apple, they may or may not have programs like that.
I didn't know that.
But I feel like that a lot of people are trying to secure their data, but just as many people are trying to open up and free the information that they're putting out there so that they can profit off of it and earn a side income to their daily job, whether that's manufacturing, sales, whatever it is, because we're in a very trying time. And I heard that the national debt is going to triple within the next year or something like that.
You're bringing light to the fact. I didn't know that people can do that. I didn't know that you could actually be paid to start sharing your information like that. That's kind of crazy to me. I mean, but it makes sense why people would do it. And like you said, as like a secondary source of income. I mean, that's just a weird concept to me. I don't think that that's like I guess it could be, I mean, like Uber and Lyft, like there's so many different like job routes
Yeah.
and debt tripling. I think that the national debt is at like, I don't know where those statistics come from either. I feel that there's an opportunity for people to make money in really weird ways. So you're currently sharing your information with companies? Like you're currently being paid to kind of share your location, share what you're obviously where you're eating. I see your posts and you're out there in front of places. Is that what that's a part of?
So like I'm that's literally initially I wanted to use that as like some form of advertisement for my podcasting, for my live stream or whatever. And then I needed something to post. So I started taking pictures of the restaurants that I was picking up food from. And so I was doing that and trying to grow my social media. But I recently had to data hard reset my phone because it was getting so like slowed down and cluttered and everything like that. So I had to do that. And so Instagram was deleted off of my phone and logged out. So then I never installed it again. And I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but Instagram to me has become a place that I feel real negative about. Anytime I go there, I feel like I get this negative serotonin boost of depression and just continual like sadness. I don't know how you feel about that.
We can circle back around to that. Tie into why you were sharing the locations though, and with this.
Oh yeah, so sharing that, I was using that to market the pictures. So the panel app essentially just uses your geolocation to monitor where you're going, where you're driving, how are you migrating around, what's traffic like, and then it just like kind of gives you points that you can spend in their store for like Amazon gift cards, PayPal cash, whatever. Or like you can also do surveys based on your location to I mean, I'm basically doing an advertisement for them right now, but you get the point.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. You're in some way surveying area and they're probably gathering data of like, yeah. And then on the back end, who knows what they're doing with it? They could be trying to get into like certain types of business avenues based off certain data that they're picking up, or they can start, you know, gearing their advertising and marketing towards whatever. Weird, very weird. I mean, and I think in most like dystopian
every major digital company now, Facebook, Google, they all offer businesses these like NFC chips that they put on their window, so whenever you pass by it counts, right? Checks counts in and everything. So that, and in some ways, Facebook was designed so that it would monitor every Facebook user that came to your business, so that it whenever you saw the data of who they were, how old they were, you could just directly market to them. Right. Yeah.
Right. So T-Mobile was actually dealing with something like that, where everything was going to be digital. I don't know if that's still the plan. I think it might be in like what's called their flagship stores, which are like in New York City, Los Angeles. There's a couple of them. So there's the way that they were going to integrate it is that you were going to be able to come in, and once you passed our line, our system was going to recognize your phone number, who you were, what your upgrade opportunities were, any type of deals that you know, qualify for. And then it just feeds you to that in like a store. So you're essentially just kind of negating the whole sales rep expert side of things,
right?
To a degree, and I think that that's maybe why they didn't really do that, because I don't think there's anything that can beat that one-on-one communication, but things are being automated at a weird degree. You can go into a fast food restaurant and order at a kiosk. So it makes sense. Companies like you're the one paneled when you're talking about, you know, they're probably involved in that in some way in creating like that instantaneous feed of data and information. I mean, like I was saying, in a dystopian world, that's the government, that's the Illuminati, that's stuff that people don't want to happen. That's the government having too much control. If the government happens to start working with these companies, which goes back to what I was saying earlier, is there's that freedom of us to be able to kind of monitor that and hold these companies and corporations to certain laws, so they're not invading our privacy and they're not doing these kind of weird things. But then again, there's always going to be like some sort of loophole or lawyer that's going to write up a contract that's going to have like this weird verbiage that does allow this like breach of privacy or trust or information, and how that's being fed and deciphered. I don't know. It's scary to think about.
Yeah, sure.
Tying back to the Instagram thing, I mean, did you see any of the fire fraud documentaries? The fire documentaries?
That's what I was about to say to you. That's it. You're on the same page.
It's there. I just took an ethics class, and my whole one of my projects I had to do was talk about how the media has a responsibility to the people to provide honest, transparent information. And with all this like right wing, left wing media that's going on right now, and those narratives that they're playing to, they're feeding off people's emotion. It's called emotivism, and that's just an ethic that you're basically doing something based off how it makes you feel, completely ignoring other people's emotions. And they're also taking people's emotions and they're using it as like a selling point. They're gathering people's information, and like you're on Instagram and you're seeing things, and who knows if your phone's programmed to show you those things by whatever information it's being fed or whatever app you have. But it's triggering something in you, whether it be a good response or a bad response, and that response that you have just feeds back into the cycle of, other things that are being fed to you through whatever other filters. It's just this weird kind of cycle, right? So have you given up Instagram? I know you said you didn't download it at first.
Given up. I don't know if that's the correct thing to say. From right now, I'm just taking a break. I know the importance of it as far as like marketing and advertising goes, and utilizing it as a platform to convey information to a follower base. But like you were saying, the Fire Festival thing, it's a really interesting subject, because it seems that there was no losing for them. You know what I mean? Even though these people were dragged out there to Jamaica, or the islands out there in the West Indies.
Yes.
There were a lot of people who benefited from the negative, and there were even some people there that were, maybe I saw one guy who had won a ticket to the event from his work raffle, and so like literally he didn't care one way or the other. His travel was paid for.
The model chick that actually got the house and like partied in the house. That's on the Hulu documentary. Yeah, they're different. Do you know the whole nonsense behind the Netflix one? The Netflix one was produced by Fuck Jerry, who also did the promotion for Fire Festival. So they got kind of like a weird bias from the Netflix one. Well, the Hulu one kind of talks to the one dude that worked with Fuck Jerry and doesn't work with him anymore. I mean, it did show. So it's funny that you say that, because me and Becca were talking about how the whole event was like this exclusivity thing, right? So the people that bought tickets had money, and some of them probably made the mistake of selling things and valuables to go to it, to be a part of some exclusive thing, just how they were marketing to the people, right? But for the most part, it was probably people that had money that could spend it and could go. To me, I was like, you're already down there. You're gonna let this fucking that's the thing to me. Like, you weren't secluded. You were just on a portion of the island that was secluded. You could have fucking went and partied. Yeah, there was probably nowhere to stay, but you got fucking money. People were making it sound like it was Armageddon and the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of a different.
There was a big
topic,
narrative, but additionally, one thing about the documentaries that I noticed was that the guy Billy was being paid for both of those documentaries. He had a stake in both documentaries. So
the bald dude, right?
What?
The bald guy, right? The bald guy, the fire fraud guy.
Not the bald guy. He's not bald.
Yeah, I thought he was bald.
Billy, the big dude. He's like the guy who created the Elysium or whatever the credit card was.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting paid for both of those things, and so the main guy. Those documentaries are gonna make way more than the festival ever made. You know what I mean? And he's getting paid probably a quarter of the cost, or the quarter of the royalties off of both of those films. So
but does he get
ultimately,
it all? I mean, he's going to prison.
I don't. But is he?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Is he?
I mean, I'd assume so.
Because
I thought they said that he was like spending 6 months already. I thought.
Well, but then he gets out, and he has all that money.
Does the interview? Yeah.
Yep. And so what I equated that to was I was watching, I think it may have been in the documentary actually, about Coachella and how Coachella had been established off of a bunch of people who just wanted to listen to music, and the initial festival had like hot dogs and shit, and
yeah, it was in 1999, and it was like somebody I know went to it and has like the first ticket. There's a radio station personality. His name's Casey from Casey in the Morning. He has his own podcast in the desert. Shout out to Casey. And he's like the fucking DJ of the desert, and they play old radio clips of him or the guy that he used to like assist for announcing Coachella. There's like stubs, and they were like $30 tickets. It was just like this weird, basically like a DIY kind of festival, but it had a production and stuff behind it, but it wasn't the desert. It wasn't really, but now it's just geared towards exactly what Fire Festival was. Just
that's what I'm saying. So like this first
buy a cabana.
This first Fire Festival was just like an example of festivals to come.
They'll redo
yeah,
it.
exactly.
I bet you they'll launch a Fire Festival, and it'll actually in Golden Voice, or somebody will fucking fuck with it and buy the name and make it a thing on an island. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a market for it, clearly.
It's the world we live in.
You know what? It's been occurring in Ibiza for quite some time. No one's ever done it in the West Indies and Jamaica, that area over there. So, I mean, it just was one situation, and everybody's blowing it up to make more money off of it. But I mean, the one thing that was like the most concerning to me was the direct relationship between Kylie Jenner and their that's where the Instagram thing ties back into it, is because Kylie Jenner is, I think, the number one.
Yeah.
Isn't she the number one Instagram with the most followers, or had the most likes or something like that? And then the egg took over.
I know that she had something to do with the egg. She had like the most liked photo, and then the egg did, and they were fighting. And
yeah,
and that's just it. I don't like. So you were mentioning you're off Instagram. Instagram is kind of depressing to me for a couple of reasons. One, I do see just bots everywhere, and like I don't use Crowdfire anymore because it's not. There's like now a version where you can get the legit check done and see how many of your followers are actually whatever, and it's just that'll come when that's a serious part of the business or the podcast or whatnot. But to me, unless you're considered like it's now a business, it's a business for influencers. So unless you're an influencer, the only really comments or engagement you're going to get are from your actual friends and family, if they're still on there. And technically that should be your fan base, whatever. How you decide to grow that, or how anybody decides to grow that is going to be to their own accord. But it's going to be really difficult now. It's not Facebook or MySpace back in the early days where you could jump on and have 100,000 followers, and then now you can all of a sudden create that business because you already have the fan base and the friends or the followers, whatever. It's not going to happen for just the standard person. You're going to have to probably create something outside of Instagram, make that a thing, and then create that Instagram so people just want to follow it reactively because they like your product or whatever it may be. But there's also the necessary evil where you have to be on it. Like if you're going to do this, if you're going to do social interaction and public commentary, social commentary, and want a product where people listen to you, like that's the most monotonous thing about doing this, is having to put shit out there and having to constantly have that. Like, I feel like if I don't have the social media engagement, my episodes aren't even necessary. Like nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah, it's hard because
we're not at the level of a Rogan or someone that can just put it out there and knows people are going to listen to it. It's that, that's a tough realm to get into. And the Instagram, the Facebook, all that shit's so necessary if you plan on having an impact. And it's just like that one's traveling faster than the other. It's weird.
Yeah. It's the discoverability is less organic. It's now, like, especially on Facebook, as Gary Vee says, you gotta pay to play, and he doesn't say that specifically, but
that's how it is. I think Young Jamie said that there's an algorithm that Facebook was like called out for that they have where you, if you've paid for an advertisement, you're now in a section of the system that labels you as likely to pay to increase reach. So they automatically like limit your reach to a percentage of the people that you follow. That's why you only see the same however many people. Like I've got fucking I think 300 followers on Facebook, and I see the same 15.
I need to do a tutorial video on and teach people how to unfollow, follow, and then prefer on Facebook, because there's like all of these different aspects.
Yeah, but doesn't that like Twitter? My Twitter right now will just send me random notifications of someone's tweet and people that I don't even fucking care about. Well, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? Doesn't that shit do that? That's what's annoying. I don't want to have to know what everybody does. Like, I literally watch I'll watch your story when you put it up, because you put it up like every so often. My gyms, my girlfriends, there's like 5, 10, maybe 20 people who I'm really interested to, where I generally go to their stories. And like, I'm not even putting a notification on for any of that, because I'll go and I'll proactively go to do it. I don't need that constant something popping up in my.
Well, no, what I mean, but I also say that because it allows you to get rid of the stuff that, because if you prioritize a certain person's posts, then it'll get rid of those ones that are disassociated to any content that you don't like. So, but Instagram doesn't have that. It doesn't have that feature where you're like, I'm tired of seeing these girls that just got a boob job, just got ass injections, just got their shit together. Now they're trying to push themselves, because the market for these girls is quite high. Every 13-year-old boy is stealing their mom's credit card to pay for their premium Snapchat, and using. Do you have the stream open?
I mean, I'm watching you.
Yeah, the audio is feeding back.
I mean,
it's probably from your headphones.
Could be. Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
What I was saying is that that it'll go back from. Yeah, you're gonna have to mute the stream.
Or just get out of the stream? Is that what you want me to do?
You can mute it or whatever. It's like replaying back through your microphone.
I mean, I have the option to shut my mic off or leave the chat. I can minimize.
Oh, no. I thought you were watching the Twitch stream.
No, I haven't done anything.
No, okay. Then I don't know what happened. That was weird. So it's gone now. What was I saying? I forgot.
You were talking about the preferability.
So Instagram doesn't have that. So you can't filter out. There's no filters to like filter out certain content.
Doesn't Facebook own Instagram?
Yeah, but Instagram is its like separate platform. So you like, unless you block and ban the accounts that are robots or whatever, there's no way to like differentiate the kind of content that you want to see on Instagram. So if you just want to see like cat pictures, you can't just like prefer cat pictures. You know what I mean? At least in the discoverability tab. So whenever you go to search like someone's Instagram account, it shows you all of those top trending, and then it's always some sort of half naked woman or a dog or whatever. A lot of stuff like that. But
I mean, so even because there's been times where like Becca will be like, "Oh, I'm trying to like go through my Instagram and diversify like what my content is, because I seem to be getting all the same whatever." And I think for like a time, it I don't know. I mean, that's when you get into like algorithms and weird shit like that, and how the devices and the apps are programmed. Like, if there was a point in time where all you were looking for on Instagram was the fucking models with the fake boobs and the dogs, it might maybe triggered something to where that's what it's going to feed you for the next 365 days. You know, some weird, who knows? What I think people need to pay attention to is how that's affecting their outside, like their external lives. Is crazy as it sounds,
what I'm saying.
Calling it that. Yeah. You know, are you going around now looking for just the fucking real life girls with the big boobs, or are you like desensitized to actual females or to actual good looking women because they're not on like a neon screen in front of you? That's weird. That's weird too.
Well,
and like that's the whole like AI. Are we already connected? Are we already in the Matrix type of thing? Where in a way, I think we are. I think that we are. It's just it's a rudimentary way of like we're cyborgs, but in a very rudimentary way, because we're still like putting the VHS in the thing. We're still, you know, winding up the fucking record player, like or whatever it is. Like we're still so far away from it being like actually integrated.
Yeah. Well, something that I did was, so January, my New Year's resolution was to go cold turkey on all the negative, toxic things that were in my life. And I've tried to even clean up my diet and done a little bit of fitness.
Let's say you're looking good. You're looking good. You're looking like there's like a glow. You've got you look very good.
Might be the lighting, but, yeah, I'm trying, all the alcohol, all the drugs, quit all that, and pornography. I quit looking at pornography. Now that's quite hard because you'll go on Twitter or you'll go on Reddit or you'll go on something, and there will be some associated content to anything. You could go on a random website and they're promoting some sort of dating website, promiscuity or something like that, and it's extremely difficult to get away from it, even if you're not going to Pornhub or you're going to a website that is dedicated to pornography. So like I've completely kept that out of my life from what I can do, and been trying to connect. I still use Tinder. I still use some dating apps, social media, to kind of interact with more women, but I've noticed that after I disconnected from Instagram, I have a different perspective of women. I feel like it does desensitize you to a lot of like your expectations are all girls are like this, or all girls are trying to sell you something, or have these grandiose expectations of you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, it could be. I had a very jaded feeling or observation of women for the past 5 months after I went and did this little side project with Tyler and tried to help him build his thing, and in reciprocation, I didn't get very much out of it, but I did experience a lot of, bottom of the barrel, low-hanging fruit stuff going on from, privatized Snapchats, strippers, hookers, drugs, dealers, all of that stuff. I've experienced what it's like to be at rock bottom, where people are just kind of like hinging on, suicide. I even felt suicidal during this time because it was as if I was being held on this edge where either the alcohol and drugs was literally right there and I could pick up a bottle and drink it, but at the same time I'm popping a pill and I'm doing a line of coke, you know what I mean? And then so I'm lucky to be alive, and a lot of the reasons.
That's intense, dude. I had no idea it was that intense. No idea.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't like necessary. I was on my own doing this stuff. It wasn't like I was. Everybody was always with me, but I had it just started stacking, and after being experienced after experience with the first person, then the second person, and the third person, and then those three people have their addictions and they're adamant on heroin or they're on whatever. I never actually got to the point at which I was shooting up heroin or anything like that, but I did experience people who were on that kind of that sort of addiction, and the cold chills, the not being able to get out of bed. Oh shit! I think my shit just crashed for a second. And so
I still see
no, it's all good. It was the mixer. The mixer crashed for a second. So after experiencing that, I just was like, got to the point where I went and on New Year's Eve, I went to the strip club. I, spent like $100-$200 partying throughout the night. And then I realized that I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it ultimately. And so the day after that, I was like, damn, where'd all my money go? So I was hustling for the first 3 days trying to get my money back so I could pay for rent that I didn't even want to have, wasn't getting anything out of it. I was helping Tyler pay his own rent while crashing on my own couch. So it was just like a terrible situation where I wasn't getting anything out of it. And so I just realized, like, on like the third day of that I was like, I got to get out of this place. I have to go cut drugs out, cut alcohol out, cut any sort of, sex worker out of the shit, and get to a place that was, where I could build off of, and, and try and get my mind back in a place where I could do business and not be concerned about someone else's success, and be more concerned about my own success. Because after working with Tanner on creators and having him, which I didn't realize at the time until I realized from Tyler, was that the expectations were that you give up all of what you desire to achieve in life to do something for someone else for free. And I know that's the whole concept of,
do you think that was what the, okay, we can go to the monogamy route too. I like that. But make you give up everything to go into something, or did he think, hey, maybe Trent's got the same passion?
It's not a matter of thinking.
And
it's not a matter of thinking. It's not a matter of thinking. It's a matter of ego. It goes down to, I don't give a shit about what you're doing, do it for me thing. Like, and I feel like we never had that relationship, because I was like, you seem to want to learn a lot about podcasting and learn more about putting together a production. With these two guys, they were more interested, you do all the fucking work while we get all the benefits. So go out there, find me shows, find me recordings. I'm not going to pay you to do any of this, but the expectations are you're going to do it for me for free, for volunteer. And I don't even own a business, really. I don't have anything. This is Tyler, but with Tanner, he was starting to form a business, but he didn't want, for me at least, to be doing Austin Live and Local, doing Trent Knox Show. He wanted to have free labor for the creators.
And I do think thinking does have something to do with it, only because, I mean, that may be the case for those two situations. The Tyler one I can't really speak on, just because I don't think I was at all aware.
You weren't around.
Like, the intensity of it. Yeah, and like the Tanner thing, I caught a glimpse of Tanner, and I don't necessarily know if that was his intention. Honestly, I think that sometimes people are masked by their vision or their desire to achieve something, and they automatically think everybody's on their page or on their level, and that's not the case. Communication also, maybe he doesn't know how to communicate or delegate work in a responsible way. Maybe there's not an understanding there of, like, hey, Trent may not be in the same situation I am, so maybe he isn't able to, right away acclimate himself to the types of situations I'm expecting or I require out of this. There's a lot of different factors at play. How their attitude during that process and how they react and how they respond to you and how they interact with you during those times is a big testament of their character. So if you didn't see remorse from any of them, or you didn't see any type of apologetic or behavior or empathy from them, then yeah, maybe they weren't being too conscious or self-aware of what they were doing or how it affected you.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is their net, the net that they were going to fall back on was set at a very high, let's say they were jumping out of a skyscraper. Their net was on the 20th floor and they're jumping out of the 21st floor. Whenever I or you jump out of a window, we're dropping to the ground and maybe there's a net on the first floor.
I can see that in one of those situations. Yeah, definitely. The other one, I don't know.
What I mean is my family.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I get the situation. I get the perspectives of you and me versus those ones. I just I don't think it's Tanner had without speaking out of turn, but there was the he had the cushion and the help that was necessary, I think. And that's I'm deconstructing this from a social perspective. So to me, if you have that opportunity to have somebody, bankroll you some ideas and some concepts and some equipment and some things, do it, take advantage of it. And I think I've actually talked to him very, very lightly recently, just hey, how are you doing? But I commented on a couple of the things he was doing. And I think he's, and I also listened to the podcast he did with Knives, which was really good. I think that he is just finding himself. Tanner's on his little own journey, which is kind of nice. I think.
Is it at least that's finding himself, or he's full of himself?
From the podcast that I listened to, he seemed pretty humble. He seemed like he had recognized maybe what he was chasing, and Knives kind of brings it up a little bit. It's not like killing the ego or anything, but it's an acknowledgement of maybe ideas and perceptions he had prior to what he was experiencing at the time of the podcast. And, I think that's a part of, so if I can kind of reflect back on what you were saying and getting out of the situation you were in recently, do you feel like you've accomplished something being able to do that, being able to step away from what you considered negative aspects and bad situations, which I agree with you, from what I hear from that, I hear that is a situation that you may not want to be around if you're really trying to progress and get somewhere.
So if I look back and I'm
people can thrive in those type of areas and people can thrive in those types of environments. Not many, but some people can. And,
yeah, that's what I was dealing with the most, is that I don't have a lot to fall back on. So in an individual who has a family with that's willing to support them in their failures with monetary means, like Tyler, like Tanner, I just can't associate with myself with that, because I have to earn my own and focus on myself. So because as a result, if I'm paying the way of my opportunity, or if I'm paying the way for someone else, I can't afford that. But anyway, I'm trying to move a little bit forward. We got short time here, but Arash, Tanner and Arash, I feel like I learned from those circumstances and found the worst of it in Tyler, because it was with Arash, he came from nothing and established his way, but he doesn't know all the right things to do. Tanner didn't come from nothing, but is still growing up. Tyler's grown up, and he's still relying on his family. He's got kids that he owes a lot of money to, his baby mom. There's a lot that's going on in his life that no wonder he's in the circumstances he is, but his mother and his stepfather are paying him essentially to not exist in their life?
That's deep. I mean,
And I feel for that, but I think that if someone's in that situation, they need to be more respectful of their surroundings and the people that are trying to help them get out of the rut that they're in. Not be egotistical enough to shoot shots back at, like, blame everyone else for their pitfalls rather than accept the pitfalls that they have of their own. Which I know mine are. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes prior to this last example.
You're going to make a lot more. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. They constantly make mistakes. I think where the growth is and the progression is recognizing the mistakes. And
capitalizing off that and being able to communicate it. I feel like, but in correlation with that,
three different things. Capitalizing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a multitasking. Yeah, it's multitasking and understanding that you have to grow from the pitfall or whatever. But so what I was going to say with monogamy is that in the large scheme of things is that I've been seeing a lot of people who I don't know if this is your situation. Don't take me out of turn, but that there are individuals out there that are open to this new form of polyamory or polyamorousness. Like even Aubrey Marcus talks about this because he's in that sort of relationship. And
but I'm assuming
that monogamy. I watched an episode of a documentary on Netflix. I can't remember what the title of it was, about monogamy and how people are moving away from it because and Joe Rogan talked about this, about the relationship between us and chimps and bonobos, and that it seems as though in before Christianity, humans were non-monogamous in order to grow our species and move out of that like you said, rudimentary earlier, but in this case, rudimentary person, like a primate, and then we grew out of that using tools, and part of that was due to the fact that we were finding multiple mates, women and men, and but then we developed.
I should say procreating at like a fast rate. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've always been one to never really big on marriage, just because I feel that it is a contract. It's a lot more. It's very convoluted at times for a lot of people. My parents got divorced. I saw how messy it was, and just unnecessary to a lot of degrees. But that's what I think society and cultures boil down to. With there being so many people, you've got to have like these weird contractual agreements in place to kind of mitigate the flow of things. There's I think a real big tie-in with not only the biology but also the psychology of things. I think there's a lot of like emotional attachments that are there in place that can kind of cause people to go one way or the other. I personally don't. Like, the animalistic side of me sees the fun in polyamory and sees the fun in being able to just kind of live that lifestyle. And a lot of the people that speak of the lifestyle, the Aubrey Marcuses and the other famous people that have spoken about being in open relationships, can kind of afford to do that. They can kind of live that kind of lifestyle because it's allotted to them through their and maybe I think that's why that's so big there, because it's such an opportunity for people to try. It'd be one thing to say that it's successful. I don't necessarily think that a lot of polyamorous relationships are successful. I think that stage of life is a successful stage of life, and I think that's maybe a stage of life people should experience. I think people should, be willing to try to, try the, not even necessarily multi-boyfriend girlfriend thing, but not be tied down. Be free, sexually free. There's nothing wrong with guys wanting to try things with guys and girls want to try things with girls. It's just try it. It's life. You really are only here one time, and whatever. Let's stick to that narrative. But you are only here for one time. You got to kind of try these little things out and see what it is you really do like. And some people are able to, and some people aren't. And I don't know. I think that there's a social narrative that you kind of have to get married and have kids and procreate and go that route. I don't necessarily buy it. I don't think that that's the only reason you're here. I think if you wanted to go your entire life and not have any relationships and be a monk and just live in solitary, and necessary and when it was needed, but other than that, you're shut off. I think that's fine. I think certain people are going to have certain things that are going to inspire that. Again, I think it's a phase. I think it's I think it's something that people are more willing to try now and are more culturally accepting of.
Mm-hmm.
But the success rate, what is it? Do you know? Do you really think people are going
I don't
out
know.
there other than Mormons and having 3 wives, 4
I
husbands?
don't know. I think it don't. I think for me, I'm still just contemplating the thing. I know that I've met a few people who are in this polyamorous relationships, and I've seen the good and the bad and the ugly from it, where they're traditionally married.
Okay.
I don't know how comfortable.
Maybe. I mean, not details, but
yeah. But yeah,
what's the,
they're married. I mean, through the traditional system, and the wife wants to separate and stay in that sex cult, essentially, and then the husband is already creating his own new sex cult with his new people that he's sexually interacting with. So I don't know. I don't know how that works. How much time do you have left?
I mean, let's go, dude. You're good.
Okay, cool.
I'd say another 10 minutes.
Okay.
10, 15 minutes.
So I guess like it is a stage, but how does this have any relationship? I was thinking to age. Do you have to? I mean, I noticed that the more sexually revealing women are from 18 to 20 because they desire a lifestyle of a 21-year-old and up. But then the girls who are 21 and up, they don't portray that imagery because at that point they've already achieved what society says they need to achieve at 21. So then they're looking and desiring what a 30, 40-year-old is desiring, marriage. Not all of them, but a lot of them, from what I see in their photos and whatnot, because 18 to 20, way more sexually revealing. 21 to 20 to 31 is what up?
I said I lost you for a second. From 18 to 20, I didn't hear what you had said.
18 to 20, more sexually revealing, like fewer clothes, more revealing. Then at 21 up, they're they've already done their party life. They drinking underage, fooling around. It does some girls continue that, but I see far less. Maybe it's like 75% from 18 to 20 that are sexually revealing. Then afterward, it's like 10% of the girls are, unless they're capitalizing off of it, with some sort of, private Snapchat or something. They're not models or Instagram models. They're average people. They're looking professional. They're looking for regular jobs. They kind of get out of that 18 to 21 phase. But then so I guess is there an age at which I guess that's the age that changes where women want to be more monogamous or more they're just trying to get they're trying to get to their become adults. For men though, it's a lot different. I think you could be all the way up to 30 years old and still want to just portray an image of a man who is sexually active all the time, and appealing to the average, the low-hanging fruit of women. I don't know if that's like appropriate or not appropriate to say.
The low hanging fruit comment. I mean, let's be without trying. I mean, it just sounds politically correct, but the sluts. Yeah, no, I get that. The age thing, man. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be honest. In my experience, I'm 31. I've hit all those age descriptions you were given so far.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I'm on like a weird cusp, my age group, because Tinder and all that stuff came out, 2013, 2014, 12, maybe a little earlier, you know, and I was 23, 24. And so to me, that was like I never got on like Tinder or any of those dating apps because to me, socializing, going out was still like the norm. I think a lot of people probably just want to cut out bullshit. I don't know if your ages are correct. I get it. There is like that post high school phase where you party, your first time you're away from home, you kind of let loose. I think that can go into 24, 25. Less likely maybe here or the perception of that here in Austin anyways, because it is a college town and it's like, hey, 22, you're supposed to be out in the professional world, the business world now. But where
I hear what you're saying.
in California, yeah, I mean the ages can vary, but yes, I do believe those are stages. Again, I think successful polyamory is something that you may not really discover until you're like 30 and work out till you're 35, and like, you know, you may dabble with it when you're younger and then realize, hey, it is something I do like and I do want to pursue. You know, hopefully you're on that path and it goes that way and it goes that way successfully, and you figure out how to communicate with multiple partners and have multiple relationships within one. But it's a mature thing. When are you really mature? I think the party fun stage in life, the 20s, let's call them, you know, I think that's when ideas are like ignited. I think that's when, hey, I am going to have a threesome and fucking, I am going to try to juggle 2 or 3 girlfriends and tell them all about one another. Like, who the fuck wants to do that? I don't fucking want to do that.
But when I hear like people who are actually in these polyamorous relationships, they're in their 30s or 40s.
Yeah, because you want a level.
That's
of
not the word that people use. You know what I mean? From
mature?
like 18 to 20s. No. The word polyamorous. I don't hear 18-year-olds saying, "Oh, I'm in a polyamorous relationship." You know what I mean?
Because I think polyamory is like an official relationship. Like you guys are recognizing. It'd be like me and Becca recognizing ourselves as boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Fiance, husband, wife, and then you being able to do that with like multiple people interchangeably.
Yeah.
Not like because in your 20s, I mean, yeah, people get married in their 20s, but most people are just dating, you know, or go through dating cycles in their 20s, and, you know, they'll break up at 28 and, you know, fucking want to date for 2 years, but then realize, hey, I do like being in a relationship. I did like the long-term relationship I had prior to this. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. So I'm going to work towards getting in a long-term relationship that is going to work out. And then you start balancing those things out. I mean, I fucking, you know, the dating life, however fun it was and however fun it is at times, I think I've hit, at least emotionally, I've hit a point in my life where I do know what I want. I do know what I know what I want, and I know what makes me happy, and you know, there's no desire in me to like go back and do the 20s thing just because it's fun. But I think I've gotten my lessons, at least in that realm of my life, romantically and emotionally, out of the way. I've gotten that figured out. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know there's nothing that makes me want to try like polyamory or makes me want to go that route, even though to dudes, I think dudes probably love that idea.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of, you know, people following their dreams, living their truth nowadays, as I like to say. You know, so a lot of guys maybe, or a lot of people will get into it thinking that it's easy or that they can do it, and then it's a lot more than it's cracked up to be, you know, and then they grow in that area.
Well, especially for, you know, like, I'm not, you know, desiring that by any means, or I'm not denying that at all. What from an individual who is in a situation where they haven't been in long-term relationships, it seems it's not as easy as I think that people make it out to be. So I think people who have been in long-term relationships would find themselves more easily getting involved with a polyamorous relationship because they've already established some rapport in, building relationships, sexual relationships, because we're not talking about emotional relationships, I'd assume. We're talking about sexually active ones.
Well, I mean, the to me, that's like interchangeable, just because you have to, in order for you to really have a sexual relationship with someone that happens multiple times and it's a thing, like to date,
right?
There's got to be some.
But some of these polyamorous relationships are centered on, they just, this particular person is just it's not your first, it's your side relationship, and it's an acceptance between two people who are their first relationship, and then they have a second relationship, and that's like your sexual one, right?
Yeah. I mean, so I've actually looked a lot into it. A lot of it is emotional based. A lot of them have, yeah. A lot of them have like split weeks where they'll do 3 days with this person, 3 days with the other person, and like the boyfriends know that, the girlfriends know that, like. There's a lot of structure in the actual polyamorous world, and so let's break that down. They're the people that just like to fuck and just like to have multiple partners, but then like when I had said polyamory being like a technical term, because I do believe that polyamory is a lifestyle. It's a having that open relationship lifestyle where you're not just fucking. Like I have 2 boyfriends. This boyfriend is the person that takes care of the physical and emotional aspects. This person takes care of these aspects. Maybe you don't fuck all of them. Maybe you don't love all of them, or I mean not love, but maybe you don't, do certain
emotionally connect with all of them.
There's an outline, a structure of rules, a set, foundation. That's a lot different than just fucking 2 girls and they both know about it. And then, occasionally you guys have threesomes because both chicks are hung up on the dude or whatever it may be, and there are people that live those lives, and more power to them. But from the polyamory perspective, there's work, a lot of work.
So I think I wanted to talk about one thing before I have another question for you. So what do you think is going to happen with our political state moving into the election of 2020, given that we had a president, have a president who is making outlandish statements. But do you think that there's a candidate? I said earlier in another interview with DJ SAP that I see Kris Jenner being a viable candidate to run against Donald Trump. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Do you get where I'm coming from with the Kris Jenner? Do you think that's a viable option if she chose to run on the Democratic side? Huh?
Sir?
No. I'm talking about Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner, the wife. The woman behind all of the...
Oh, really? Dude, honestly, I don't need the celebrity nonsense. Andrew Yang is somebody that I've looked into. Tulsi Gabbard, although a bunch of bullshit just came out on her about being like...
Are they career politicians?
They're politicians, yeah. No, the celebrity politicians...
I'm just not about it. I don't think this country will ever be successful ran by career politicians. They don't know. They just don't know what real life is like.
I agree. But celebrities with no experience in law aren't the way to go. I'll say it that way.
Well, I don't know if law is...
You can run a country. It doesn't necessarily need to be a career politician, but it also doesn't necessarily need to be a celebrity.
I think it should be someone who has actively built a business and can run a company. And
yes,
I think that's why we elected
some
Trump.
Knowledge of like law and history and the foundation of a country and what it means to run a successful...
Yeah, that's the whole concept of being... that's the concept of being commander in chief. So that portion, the defense side.
You're like all-encompassing, you're a firm believer in the values of what makes the Constitution great. You're a firm believer in the programs and things that the country takes part in, like the EPA. I think that was something that really, like, I'm not going to get political in any way, because everybody knows how everybody feels. I think everybody just knows what's going on and nonsense. And, I've gone and said that there has been some things that Trump has done that haven't been that bad. I'll never say that I support him. But within everything, there's always a give and a take. And when you're representing a country, you represent it. There's a certain expectation there, and you can't just have anybody do that.
Do you think
doesn't necessarily mean it can't be a celebrity?
Yeah.
But I would, like, of all the options I've heard, Oprah is probably the most logical, in that she's in like the bottom 30% of logic.
Right.
Like, not her thinking, but like she makes sense only 30% of like a whatever weird logic you may want to have.
Yeah.
But she's experienced, she's mature, she's very, very, very open and accepting of just ideas. And this is just what I get from listening to her podcast and my mom being a big fan of her, but she helps people. She has a good idea of what I think moral and ethical ideas and foundations are, and those are important. You want to be someone that is well respected, and you want to be someone that gives that respect back when it's due, and you want someone that's powerful, that's smart, that can run a business successfully. But you also want a humanitarian. You want someone that does understand the importance of protecting the environment and people and poverty and the obesity issue, that I'm pretty sure the National Health Organization, right? The World Health World Health Organization, I'm pretty sure just said that that's one of the leading causes of death on the entire world is obesity. Whoa,
Yeah.
And we're not just the president of the United States, you're the president of the most powerful country on the planet. So act like it. And you need to think a proper
from a defense standpoint, but I think that financially and from a market standpoint, China has surpassed us. Debt to income ratio is China.
Yeah.
And
I don't doubt that.
So do you think that the next commander-in-chief, the leader of the free nation, should be a woman or a man?
It should be whoever can run it appropriately.
Young or old?
It could be I'd prefer someone over 35.
I think you have to be 40, right?
I thought it was 35.
Well, yeah.
I thought Kennedy was like 37. I thought Kennedy was young.
I always get mixed up. I always think it's 40, 45, 35. So I definitely remember.
I do believe that in order to be president, you should have served the country. That is something I do believe.
So in some form or fashion,
which would eliminate a lot of career politicians.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that makes sense. But do you think that like a wife of a Jeff Bezos? I know they just had this issue, or Elon Musk's ex-wife. I don't know if she was American, but I think that there's a lot of different opportunities there, and I'm kind of just like, I think it's the conversation is starting. The Democratic side is starting to have candidates come out and
Andrew Yang is one of them.
Yeah,
he's
I don't know much about him.
I believe. Yeah,
I'll definitely need to start looking at these press rollouts and see what's going on, because I want to vote again. The voting for Austin didn't turn out like you and I had hoped. And I saw Travis. Yeah, that was interesting. I saw Travis in person, and he was quite upset.
Oh yeah. I've spoken with both of them. I actually plan on having both of them back on here shortly, probably within the next, I'd say, month. Just because they both got stuff that they're working on, and it both kind of coincides with the run-in for mayor, but obviously not politically based, but they're taking their experience and what they did with that and and capitalizing off it. Travis specifically, man, Travis, in my opinion, is a true humanitarian. He's someone that really does look after, believes in community and believes that there's a necessary change that needs to be made. And what bummed me out is that it almost felt like they didn't give him the time of day because he was coming from let's call it like a Green Party. He wasn't. He was independent. But for the most part, he's coming from a very green standard. Clean energy, clean water, and solving the homeless issue. Taking a bunch of risks there, and it's just with the issues Austin has. It seemed like he was a good fit to really start pumping in some ideas because it's got the money. It has the money coming in from all the companies that are coming here, and all the the soccer stadium just got approved. The land just got approved. Like there's going to be a lot of money coming into the city, and there's a lot of issues. And both Alex and Travis were one of their main issues was transportation. And public transportation and increasing that and making it easier to get around because that's one of the biggest pain points in Austin right now is the traffic. And to have both of them and their public transportation ideas kind of shot to the wayside, really disheartening. And then, of course, with Travis, he just has a lot of good ideas to help people. And I think Austin's at a place that could really utilize that, and they've got the money to do it. But for whatever reason, it's both of them said that they believe it's mismanagement of the city that's really allowing a lot of these issues to pop up. The whole east side's going through a big issue right now in terms of gentrification and what they're doing to a lot of the businesses and homes over there. They're putting up hotels over there. They're already breaking ground for like a couple different, I want to say, restaurant strip looking things. There's nothing but construction going on down there.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, that was interesting to be part of that.
When I talked to Travis, he said that he used all of his funds from working for Solar City to move and do the political campaign, but now he's focused on writing a book. So I don't know whether that's gonna turn out or whatnot, but so I guess in closing here, man, I wanted to talk to you about your fitness and what's going on with that, and then what's next for Common Chaos and your projects, man. I see that people are really going to ask on the YouTube comments what's going on with the Shiner.
So I did a jiu-jitsu tournament this weekend. Got second place, so silver medal. I want to say that you told me day of, hey, if you want to win your first match, you got to win your second match. Won both of them, so thank you for that. And yeah, I've gotten into MMA again recently. I was doing it in California and just obviously been involved with that for a long time. So found a gym out here called Black Widow MMA. They're probably one of the fastest growing gyms here in Austin. It's not like a UFC style gym or a bigger gym. It's a smaller one-on-one, very personal gym. There's classes for jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, a whole plethora of things. They've got 2-3 amazing coaches there. I'm actually going to be having the owners, Bitsy and Jorge, on here shortly. One of our guys, Alex, just did a boxing match, the Tattooed Gloves charity event. They're working with competitors pretty frequently. This was my first tournament, and they, got me through it like a regular, like it felt like I was in a fight camp, and it was really, they're professionals, and they've got a great community that they're building up right now. And it's just, that's where I'm at in terms of my fitness. I've been focusing a lot on jiu-jitsu and my MMA stuff. But constantly just trying to stay healthy, man, I get home every night and I'm like some sort of pain because I just get steamrolled, but that's kind of my discipline in a way, is going through all the nonsense. Got to get you in there. I know that you said you were getting back into shape, and what are you doing?
Right.
Weightlifting's my next goal. So the tournament was a marker. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be lifting 2 days a week and have a specific routine for lifting. And I think I'm going to start my certs for strength and conditioning coming up here in March. So that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, what about you? Got to get in the gym. Got to get a session going.
So I don't know if I ever talked to you about this, but my last semester at Hawaii, I was in a weightlifting, powerlifting course, and I dropped down to like 160 or something like that. And I was in like the best shape I've ever been in my life. But when I moved from Hawaii, I got like super sick, and like I went down to like 150 from like the flu and shit, and was like at a like 26-inch waist. It was like really, I was really tiny for myself. Even in high school, I was never that small. So I got really sick, and then after that transition, I never went and worked out for like 2 years. Even I maybe did some small activities or whatever, but never worked out. And so like that has that illness and being that small has affected me, I think, a little bit in my mental state. So like I work out, it seems like, for 2 months, 1 to 2 months, pretty strong, and then I drop off and I don't do it. So anyway, I in the beginning of the year, I changed my diet. I don't really eat McDonald's or any fast food like that, but I still eat some like some things that I don't like as much. I try to eat like salads a lot and kind of limit things, but I do cheat a lot for food reasons. Why cheat on my food? So I don't always stick to the diet that I'm trying to do, but I recently saw like an advertisement for a CrossFit program, so I gave him my information, and probably go check out that tomorrow and see if I can drop down to like 175, because right now I'm at like 225 to 210, and you know, I'm 5'9".
225 to 210.
No, I want to drop down to 175. I'm 210 right now.
Oh, 210 to 170. Dude, yeah, you'd be able to. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it's if like, so I had to cut weight for this tournament. Obviously, I think I cut like 12 pounds. And it's literally habitual. Like, you just have to stay on it. I know you said you cheat a lot. There's just certain things you got to do to not do that. You know,
when I was dropping weight and when I was going through that course, I didn't eat lunch. I don't think I eat lunch or dinner. I ate breakfast before I went to. Actually, I don't know if I even did that. Like, it was like really bad nutrition, and I was learning nutrition as well. So, like, nutrition wise, I need to be focused on that. Diet, more focused on nutrition, not diet, and more the calorie intake than the and focus on calorie output. But I think that's really complicated to monitor what you're intaking, your caloric count, and then monitoring the exact output that you are getting from like lifting weights or running or whatever. At least for me, it's a lot of science, and I don't know how much my brain can handle doing all of that math.
It's simple. There's a formula you can do to figure out what your like daily calorie limit needs to be.
Right.
And then you can take like your resting heart rate and figure out what you burn in a stagnant state, just sitting around, walking around throughout the day. And then you just it's a couple simple equations to figure out what you need to do in terms of like caloric intake and then calorie burning when you are working out. And there's certain apps and devices that can monitor that. We'll talk after. We'll talk off, because I can get you all that. I can get you the formula. I can break it down for you. It's very easy. It's actually not
cool,
because it's not repetitive. Once you figure out where you're at and where you want to be, it's just a matter of doing the math for both, and then you lay out the plan and stick to it. We can talk. We can definitely talk.
From like an exercise standpoint, I understand like all the exercises that need to be done to like build muscle and whatnot and drop weight, like from cardio to whatever. But when we get to the other part of like nutrition and whatnot, I don't really know.
And that's the kicker. Like, you can't you're not going to actually see results unless the nutrition's there. Like, you can get strong and build muscle, but you're not going to get, like, if you're looking to be the cut, lean shape, you're not going to get any of that. Unfortunately. And I've learned that the hard way, man. Like, this is the best. Like, I I fucked up and didn't do like an after picture, but I mean, I could probably do one now because I didn't gain much weight back. But like I to me personally have never looked as good as I looked when I made weight for the tournament. And I was just a lot of like clean eating. Like I didn't do sugar for almost 2 weeks. I didn't do any type of I was very limited on like I kept track of how much protein I was taking in, very little carbs. You know, it was either protein and fat or whatever, you know, whatever the combination was. So what's cool is Bitsy, the owner of Black Widow MMA, actually got me on a diet, like a meal prep. And I did that the last week and a half. So I did that for the last 10 days and had no issues, had energy, had, you know, and that was just a simple figuring out how many calories I needed. I already knew where I need to be at for the calorie intake. It was just a matter of making sure I got the calories in that form. You know, but that's serious. That's a weight cut. That's something that, hey, I need to be this by that date. You could lose a pound a week and have that be a steady pace, you know, and then by June be, you know, 180, you know, if you wanted to go at that pace. If you're killing it and it's actually like your determination, you can get there by March, April and be there healthily, you know. It just you determine what the results are going to be in terms of like your work, your input, you know, your mindfulness to everything. Like, but you can easily do it. I wouldn't worry about making it quick, man. I would have fun. I would go through, you know how to lift. I'd go through the workouts, get a workout in with jiu-jitsu, get CrossFit in, do CrossFit. CrossFit's so good for a bunch of different things. And it gets you, like I've had several friends that did CrossFit and they're like, actually CrossFit got me into powerlifting because I realized that I enjoyed the muscle mass I was gaining, but you're not going to get super big doing CrossFit, you know, but it did help people transition to that. Have fun with your workouts, have fun with your routines, fucking go at it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. And I hope that we can do this next week, same time. Not same time.
We can
next week.
I don't think I'm off next Wednesday, but we can do another one next week. I gotta have you in on mine.
Whatever day.
You'll be my first house guest in the house studio.
Hell yeah, man.
The new house studio, since you were already in the old one.
Let me get at you after off stream. I'm gonna close this one out and then put up the episode as soon as I get the MP3.
Cool beans, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Love you. Glad you're doing it.
You want to shout out your stuff? Shout out your medias?
Oh, Decom and Chaos. Yeah, I'm just episodes. You're going to be getting episodes from me. You're going to be getting episodes, coming out here shortly. You're going to get a solo one here within the next 2 days. Trent's going to be back in. Got the Black Widow MMA interview. So, Decom and Chaos on Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, all of it. Of Brian of Death on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me personally.
Dope. All right. Catch you later, man.
All right. Later, man.
Peace.